But I just want to touch on something different about that whole thing. I don't know if you guys saw about the whole after the game. I think it was on Sunday before or after Newcastle. Like, I didn't see the games because I was away. Them talking about the thing with Harry Kane and Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
And this is something that I'm not going to go too in depth from it, but it's just been something that's been bothering me for a very, very, very long time. And that's his thing against Pogba. I just think he could blame bad weather or a bad train or a bad steak on Pogba. It just seems to be he has it in for him. I'm just like, what? And I was talking about this yesterday with some friends. It's like, is it the culture of football that you just don't like about him? Is it the culture? Because the ones that are mentioning about him are the ones that come from that old fashioned kind of way of football that was fun to talk about, but I think we're trying to leave because I think it represents a lot of problems in the future. Pogba, he's different. He always has his hair looking good, his clothes looking good. He's into his fashion, he's into his music, but he can still throw down on the pitch. And, he's not one of them ones who's going to try and square up and start a thing like them players were. He's much more, he's calmer. He's calmer than that. He's got a thing to, he's like a brand almost. He's a brand. I just think, is it the culture that you just don't like? Because you pick on him for anything and everything. But Kane's all right.
Yeah, I think the with the Pogba, just the press against him, which I personally don't like, and I think it's unfair, it's biased, and you could. I think there are elements of it where I think these broadcasters need to, the likes of Neville, the likes of Souness, I think they need to take a long, hard look and really evaluate the narrative they're pushing onto a player, because it's these kind of things that feel. These are the kind of things that are a factor in fueling people sending racial hate to players. Now, I'm not saying that what they're doing is racially motivated. I'm not accusing them of that. What I am saying is that it is you're playing off biases, because they clearly have a preconceived notion of what Pogba is as a player, which is not accurate to any club or any manager or even any teammate that's worked with him. Even the whole Mourinho bust up thing. Mourinho is known to be a difficult character and is known to want to push and prod players, and that's his way of getting the best out of them. You got players like Ibrahimovic who loved it, Eto'o who loved it, because it makes you go to another level, and you got other players who can't handle it.
Sure didn't.
Shy away. Sure didn't. So, there's just been this, and let's be honest, Harry Kane's on strike.
He is on strike.
I mean, you could argue that, okay, it was a confusion of the holiday thing because he was in the Caribbean and you have to quarantine. But why would your club not know your plans? Why would they come out and fine you? And why is it all now being taken as hush-hush? And how can you say Harry Kane's a saint? The whole agent thing, Raiola is his own man. No one can tell Raiola to stop speaking, don't talk, whatever. Raiola will do what Raiola is good for his business. And at the end of the day, he has a client who he knows is very highly valued, and he's probably looking at it and thinking, Man United don't value him that highly. Objectively, right?
Yeah.
Some fans do, some fans don't. English football don't respect Pogba for what he is, really, because when it comes down to it, he's one of the best 5 midfielders in the league, and that's not up for debate.
No,
he is. And you could argue on his day he is number one.
He is.
Him, De Bruyne. They'll have weeks when they'll be interchanging. At the World Cup, the game when France got knocked out against Switzerland, that goal he scored.
Wow.
I mean, come on.
Wow.
It's just like, how many players in world football have the confidence, the technique, and the boldness to just do that? Not many. Some players will see that shot and think, nah, I'm not even going to try it.
Pass it.
Probably didn't need to think about it. Shift out of his foot, bang. And we know when he got the ball, I thought he's going to do it, isn't he?
Yeah.
When he rolled the player, I thought, nah, he's got too much space here. Drops it in top corner, no problem. So that's what he can do, and that's, I think, the coverage that the media are putting on him is not fair, and in light of this whole Harry Kane situation, is really, really not fair. Pogba has never once done anything to show you that he's disrespectful to the club. He has an issue with the management in a way where you could say he has a bad character. Not at all. And you're right to bring it up, and it is something that is these journalists have a responsibility to be impartial. And Micah Richards was right to call him out on it. Souness's behaviour of walking away from him was out of order. Gary Neville trying to say it's not what you're saying it is. Based on what? There's no evidence to support your position. So if they have a problem with Pogba, they should just say we don't like him and say why. And let's just be honest about it. Because what has the guy done for you not to like him?
Yeah, it's fine. Just say, just be true. Just say it, because we can all feel it in the room. A certain pundit will have a bias towards a certain player and a disdain against another. So you can go back as far as say with Andy Gray. Andy Gray would love Steven Gerrard, but he dislikes someone else. And a lot of pundits and managers will have a thing against Rooney. For Rooney, not against for Rooney, for his case. But just, I don't know, a similar. I hate saying it. A similar foreign European player. I don't know. It might be a problem. So yeah, just. It's almost like just say it. Like, I don't like this. I don't like how he carries himself, because you're carrying yourself. These players, most of them come from the 80s, when you could get away with certain things, and when football was what it was. But now football's much more cosmopolitan. They're moving stadiums, becoming businesses at the forefront of communities, moving to bigger stadiums, whether it's Tottenham or Brentford, so that aspect, that old school thing of football, which was once, something you could hold dear and hold deep, we've got to kind of move on from it. Because, if you don't believe me, you only have to look at the England team. It's helped leaps and bounds. So yeah, I just thought I'd touch on it because I had to say something about it.
No, I think it's a good point. And I guess, Craig, what's your kind of view on like I think at times the media's coverage of situations of players and how they just seem to pick a side, and there isn't needed a side. I mean, Pogba didn't need to come up in this whole debate at all. At the end of the day, Harry Kane's not trained. Why? That was this discussion point.
So do you want to talk about the Pogba situation, or talk about in general?
I think a bit of both. So I think for you, like, what would you say, looking at that, like this past Sunday's broadcast coverage, and how you had Neville and Souness kind of making Kane out to be some kind of super angel saint, wonderful guy, can do no wrong, and Pogba's a problem.
I've always thought that English players always get the high and mighty praise, and some foreign players always get the bad press if they make a mistake or anything. I always thought that with Souness and Pogba, he's been on his case since he's come back to United all the time, always digging him out. Even Neville as well, always digging him out. To be honest with you, the way how it's going on, they're going to end up forcing Pogba out of England. Pogba's going to want to leave and go to wherever he wants, maybe PSG or Real Madrid. And I think Pogba's one of the best midfielders in the league. For him and De Bruyne. And I think it's not fair that they're always picking on him, because it's bullying. It's a form of bullying. No one's ever thought of that. It's all like, you can't be every week, Pogba has a good game, or he could have done this, he could have done that. But the guy had 4 assists. Who, like, you get that maybe like in lower level football you get 4 assists. Well, in a big Premier League game you get 4 assists against Leeds. Leeds are a good team. They're not a rubbish team. They're a good team. And for him to get 4 assists in the big start of the season, it shows that Pogba is a consistent player. And I think he's the kind of player that you have to put your arm around him and show him the love that you love him as a player. And I think Ollie's doing that with him. He's putting his arm around him. And previous managers were not doing that. And I feel that with Solskjaer, he's doing that and getting the best out of him. And I feel that if they continue with their biasness against him, then I feel that he's going to want to leave. And that would be a shame for English football, because English football got most of the top players in the world are playing in England. Compared to other leagues, we've got the top players playing in the Premier League.